Hello everyone, I'm Chester44, also known as Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of In Other Waters. Last episode had a bit of a lore dump. Also, we happened to find Minay. Somehow, she managed to free dive all the way down 1.5 kilometers, and she's still alive, despite the fact the pressure alone should have killed her. How long she was down there without air, that also must have done something. I don't know what she's dealing with or what happened to her, but hopefully it'll be figured out. That said, our only option now, we need to find what she was looking for down in the deep depths. We're going to head eastwards here and try to find our way towards this ROV. And do as much exploration as we can. What will we find? I don't know. Hopefully it'll be something good. Or some information. Glinting debris from the disabled ROV traces back into the sand. Unmistakably basalt, formed in some volcanic trench eons ago, this outcrop is outlined by the faint light of Gliese 667cC's suns. Excuse me. The pale floor descends rapidly away from the ridge in this direction, towards a field of shadowy outcrops. Or, east of the ridge, a small rise opens into a flat plain of dimpled silt. Like I said, we're gonna head east first. A featureless expanse lit flatly by the suit's lamps. An occasional silver bubble breaks the surface of the flat silt, carrying a cloudy trail of sediment behind it. Repeated trails of unknown creatures mark the sand, wandering back and forth across the rippled surface. Really now? Bubbles of methane trickle out from beneath the silt, creating silvery columns wreathed in sand. Feels very quiet down here. Or that it would be. Ahead, the seeps have created small craters in the seabed where brine is gathering in clouded pools. Oh! Interesting. A shimmering landscape of ghostly pools stretches out in the lamps, the dense brine sitting in the craters like undersea ponds. Brine, eh? Brine pools. The methane seeps here must be forming them. The pools themselves will be toxic and also anoxic. Let's navigate carefully. They are beautiful fog-skinned puddles sunk into the seabed, but they are dangerous. The seeps imprint the geological patterns of the underlying rock into the silt, forming both deep pools and untouched rises. So going through them will be like going through the bloom. A complex pattern of pools fills the seabed, shimmering with toxic chemistry. Patterns of dents in the sand show the paths of the feathery creatures across from pillar to pillar in slow and purposeful loops. Hello. Even down here there's life. Crab-like creature. These crawling creatures seem to keep to themselves. Let's keep track of where we find them. This crab-like creature is moving slowly across the seafloor with a large translucent crest protruding from its back. And bristling fronds here. These swaying fronds, are they a colony or a single creature? I'll start recording my observations. These feathery fronds are growing along the edge of the brine, waving their matted leaf-like limbs through the water. Each of the many limbs of these branching creatures is carefully dipped into the brine pools, one by one, before pulling back. Occasionally, this creature will sweep its limbs back into the hairy mass of its body before thrusting them out again. What is it doing? While some pools transition into bare sand, others are choked with fronds. A mucus bubble sits on the silt, shed from the back of the bubble-skinned creatures which are trekking the perimeter of the pools. And the waving shapes of complex fronds caress the surface of the pool, sweeping the brine into wispy shapes. Oh. On closer inspection, the large, translucent crest appears to be a gas-filled organ or bubble of some kind, rising from a slit in the shell. Well, we can at least get a sample candidate from this. A single one. 40 oxygen, that is actually pretty nice. And it is mucus bubble, a multi-chambered mucus bubble found on the ocean floor. Alright, let's keep looking. Oh, wrong thing. The thick hairs of each frond seem to be mottled with a reddish substance. Does it grow here amongst the hairs? Among the pools, a pillar of shining bubbles Among the pools, a pillar of shining bubbles rises up towards the surface. And bright orange carpets of microbial growth gathered beneath the waving fronds stretch away from the pool. We could sample them here. That sounds good. When a limb is removed from the brine, the red substance matted into the hair seems to glow brighter, shifting in color. It seems that the substance caked into these creatures' hair is retracting into the brine somehow. Perhaps it is helping them feed. From this slight elevation, the gleaming surface of a huge brine lake can be seen out to the east. The dipping motion of the fronds as they filter the brine creates a hypnotic sense of motion along the edge of the lake. Well, at least we can get another sample here. A couple things. Don't know what it is, but it at least gives us some things we can use. And it is brine mat, an orange bacterial mat sampled from beside the brine pool. Okay, we can get to this sandy rise. A bank which skirts along the edge of a large shadowed pool. Can we get anything from here? Oh! A bubble shed from the back of a creature sits at the edge of the lake, brine curling around its base. Seems a little risky, but another sample is good. And we have a few things. This tall, crab-like creature towers above the brine pool. An unusual assortment of rocks, shells, and bones adorn its back. How can these creatures survive out here among the brine? I'll start keeping notes on their behavior. So it's something new. These wandering creatures noisily chew away at the rock and silt of the ocean floor, filtering it for nutrients, perhaps? Branching, feathery fronds which grow... Oh, brine eaters, she's calling them. I'll log these creatures as brine eaters. You can take a look at my observations back at base. Branching, feathery fronds which grow alongside brine pools, carefully dipping their matted and stained limbs in and out of the brine. A faint pulsing glow like lightning in a storm can be seen beneath the cloudy brine. Here, the complex of pools melts into the lake, which shines with a toxic intensity. Can anything live out here? We need to get this sample, which is going to hurt quite a bit. And it is a brine shell. Alright, get out of there, please. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, jeez, there's more down here. Something out in the dark is sending slow waves to this burning beach. What could live out here? What might be hiding within its toxic fog? Do you think life might survive out there? Can survive anywhere. It's true that this planet has shifted my ideas about what is survivable. Perhaps there is something out there waiting to be discovered. This hole cuts deep into the bedrock of the plain. Could this be caused by a seep? It looks more like an impact crater. Brine pools mark the plain on all sides, densely packed around the vast lake. Let's take a look what's to the southeast. Oh, geez. The water is a blinding milky white flow in the headlamps. The edge of the lake is stained with brightly colored bacterial mats, which recede beneath the cloudy toxic mass of the brine itself. I think we should come back to this. It seems dangerous. Ah, good. Different individuals of the species seem to have varying sizes of bubbles on their backs. Are they carrying oxygen in there? Let's see. Among the ornate fronds, I can see the neon orange of microbial carpets spreading out from the pool in complex growth patterns. Unlike the shallowed seep marks in the south, these deep craters plunge through the silt into the bedrock. This rise projects out towards the vast brine lake to the east, cutting between deep pools. A fast creature. Well, comparatively. These creatures are so fast. Their dark coloring makes them hard to see, but let's keep track of them. These rapid-swimming, lobster-like creatures have dark shells with very large translucent tails. How do they move so fast? This probably connects back up with the other path I saw. Along the edge of the larger pools, the shells and skeletons of creatures loom out of the silt, victims of the toxic brine. I was right, that just connects back over. That allows us to go around the pools. Oh! We've seen that one already. But we can sample something here. More brine mats. Which I think we can use these samples. For a little more power and a little more oxygen. The curve of the lakeshore extends out of sight, and the other side of this vast depression is too far out into the dark to be seen. And pools, like fogged cauldrons, mottle the seafloor. Bacterial mats bring bright smears of color to the scene. Let's take a look at what's down the path over here. Skirting around this edge. These aren't seep pools. Something impacted the seafloor here. Meteors? But how would they get so deep? Or could some creature have left these? A thin causeway leads between the pools, away from the lake. We'll come back to the lake, I'm sure. The brine gathers in this small crater like a settled storm. It would be beautiful if it wasn't so toxic. Ooh. Something is emitting a faint glow beneath the brine. It has the sharp shape of a shell, or perhaps skeletal remains. This silt bank allows passage between the two parallel strips of craters leading north. The pools seem to continue to the north, but why do they stretch so far away from the main body of the lake? Well, we have a sample here to grab. It's gonna hurt, but... Another brine shell. Sure, we'll take a second. Empty of brine, this crater was clearly caused by a large impact, showing radial cracks in the rock spreading for a single point. Despite the toxic brine on all sides, this glowing oasis clings to its rock, even as it is melted away. Well, we have something here. Like the fans found in the bloom, these creatures are fan-shaped filter feeders. However, these variants glow with a cold fire. These fans seem to play a central role in the ecosystem here. I'm going to start recording data. Trefoil petals which gather around the glowing fans of the deep, they angle themselves towards the light like expectant children. What are these petal-shaped creatures? They only grow around the glowing fans. Start logging data. Precariously seated among the pools, this fan shows signs of decay, its amber waves of light stuttering and flickering unevenly. Well, it's an endpoint, but at least we can get another sample. Probably a useful one. The pools seem to cover a huge part of the seabed, radiating out from the lake in ornate patterns. Some of these more northern pools are emptying of brine, leaving only the shallow layers at their base. The ROV must have been attracted by some signal among the pools, but it became another victim of the corrosive brine. This small plain is strangely clear of creature tracks. They must not cross into this northern zone. Looks like we found the ROV. Though there's still more to look at here. Between the wall of the ridge and the corroded shelf is a wide strip of pale and silvery silt. This lake is bigger than any seep I've seen on Earth. The volume of methane trapped in the bedrock must be impossibly vast. The haze lifting from the lake and the pools all around make visibility very poor. Vague shapes flit in and out of columns of bubbles. A thin strip of sand pushes out into the lake, surrounded by toxic pools. Hemmed in by toxic pools, this small rise looks out across a landscape of deep craters and unrelenting darkness. This small bank of silt is slowly slipping away beneath the cloudy surface of the brine pools. And this connects back up to where we were. I heard something just now. The edges of the lake are like a miniature landscape of craters and depressions. A stained slab of basalt juts out of the brine pools, providing a tiny safe zone from the toxic liquid. A radial pattern of depressions in the rock suggests debris expanding outward from an impact point. A mucus bubble shed from the back of a creature sits on top of a small pile of silt as if it were an egg. Well, at least we have another sample. If we want it. I mean, we could, but we should probably, I guess grab one sample, and then we'll drop all the samples we have off. Let's get to the ROV. One of Manet's ROVs. Looks like this one was disabled by the brine. The supplies Manet equipped it with are still intact, though. We can resupply. Open the terminal, and let's see what this little guy found down here. Oh, wow, you found something big, didn't you, little guy? It looks like... Is that a wreck? Incredible. The debris field stretches all the way northwest from here. It must have been large, a freighter or a research vessel. We have to go see this thing. Come on, we can head back to base after. Really? Whatever caused a string of impact craters, parts of it lie all around. Huge jointed forms of corroded metal. Here's the edge of the debris trail. Something sank here and by the spread of debris exploded. It has been here for years, decades. The metal is corroded to little more than a frame. That means Manet wasn't the first person to come here. Something big happened here. Something no one was meant to find. This huge piece of debris has been distorted and twisted by the brine, leaving it totally unrecognizable. Bulbous, rust-red lumps are scattered across the pale sand like seeds thrown to the wind. The spars of the frame stick out of the sand like fractured ribs, fronds and other growths closing the gaps between them. The broad, flat plates of the wreck sit at right angles to each other, forming a complex of angular walls. A curved strip forms a narrow walkway between the pools beside the wreck. And a split in what must have once been the vessel's hull allows passage to the overgrown interior. Oh. These ovoid creatures sit pulsing on the edge of the deep oases. They are glassy and soft like partially boiled shellless eggs. These pale, pulsing creatures seem so passive. I'm going to start taking notes on them. The brine has left everything but the vaguest shape of the vessel impossible to define. We're entering the main body of the wreck now. It's little more than a husk. It's impossible to tell anything from these rusted plates. Whose ship was this? The local ecosystem looks to have been scraping away at this thing for decades. Nothing much left for us. This bay, perhaps once a cargo hold, is being scraped away at by frond-like creatures, releasing flakes of orange rust into the water. When close to these creatures, you can feel the pull of their strong filtering action as they absorb water and push it through their bodies. Half buried in sand, the industrial seals on the equipment locker have held. It must have been protected from the crash within its bay. Look, a still sealed dive suit locker. Let's see if we can get it open. Okay, I think I can lever... Yes! It's open! There's not a lot here. Wait, this cutting torch looks clean enough. With a little work, this could be salvaged. Is this Bicultech? Hard to tell. Looks compatible with the suit, though. I'll stow it and see what I can do with it when we get back to base. The plates of the wreck buckle and bend outwards here, bent away by some huge interior force. The craters clustered around the vessel suggest an explosive force of some considerable magnitude. These creatures seem to produce small branching buds in the same way that a hydra grows a clone of itself in order to reproduce. This creature's interior sits a sphere surrounded by a reflective membrane, bathed in light from the transparent sections of its body. Most of the wreck must have already been lost to the brine. Only this section remains, precariously settled on the silt bank. Could this set of seeps have been created by the wreck's impact? Perhaps it breached the bedrock, protecting the methane below. Each one of these shelled creatures seems to have its own territorial loop, an area of seafloor it systematically searches through. Whatever its origin, the wreck here has become a sanctuary for the ocean's life. There's a beauty to its reclamation. A crested shell sits on the edge of the brine pool, its former inhabitant nowhere to be seen. We could sample it here. Well, we have a sample we can get, that's fine. We don't have room for this. I can use one of these. Let's get a little extra power. We haven't really used a brine mat yet. Use a spark. We can get more brine mats if we need to. And that is a crested shell. Alright, back in here. Unless we can go back. None of this adds up. If there's a wreck here, then there were people. And if there were people, well, why doesn't everyone know about this place? About its incredible life? We've spent centuries looking for life outside of Earth and found nothing. I've seen so many dead planets, so many barren worlds. I've certified each of them clear of life, just so an exoplanet extraction corps can pick them clean for maximum profit. Strip mine them for the resources our ever-expanding species needs. This place is impossible, 1 in millions, and yet it is already marked by our greedy fingerprints. Who brought this ship here? This has to be the mystery Minet wanted to uncover. Let's head back to base. There's more to find, I'm sure of it. North of here, the debris field fades away as the ocean floor slopes towards the abyssal plain. Alright, well, we have more to look at, but let's open up the link. $5.1 hours. Oh boy. Something has happened. Come to medical now. Minet is growing. I haven't dared to go in. I can't make sense of the readouts. Her vitals are unreadable, but she's still alive. Whatever kept her alive on the slopes is changing her somehow. I've been sat here watching her. I don't know what to do. Do you think she's in pain? Vital signs unclear. Foreign genetic material detected. Rapid tissue growth. Error. It probably is. How can you know? Her brain is active, but she's unresponsive. There are procedures. Every base stack is equipped with quarantine systems. I can authorize the lab to be purged. End it now. Is that still Monet? I can't. What do you think? Should I authorize the purge? I honestly can't answer. Nothing? You have nothing to say. I won't do this to her. She is still in there. Still alive. I won't give up on her. I won't be afraid of what I don't understand. We can find the answers together. Okay. We can do this. I've hooked up that cutting torch from the debris field. I hope it helps. I need some answers. Let's find that other ROV. Is Monet still Monet? What has this place done to her? I have barely been able to leave the medical level, though I dare not enter the surgery. Did she do this by choice? For those few months on Kepler 62F, it was clear that Monet was struggling with something. We never spoke about it, but behind her intensity lay a frenzied self-doubt. She never talked about her family. All I knew was that she was a rare spacer, born out in the black on some orbital military base. Some days she wouldn't leave the berth, just curled up so small, staring silently out. Would she do this on purpose? Open up her suit and willingly slip into the deep? I suppose it doesn't matter now. All I can do is monitor her. At least I'm not alone. Okay. I'm gonna store all of these. Still got a mucus bubble and a brine shell, and the mucus bubble... Yeah, we can store that here too. The brine shell will actually be useful. For more power if we need it. I'm not going to analyze or check the samples. But up here, any brine eaters found in the north are in grazer territory. So maybe we can find some chewed up remains here to save us sampling a live eater. We need to look at a lot of stuff. And the brine pools are surrounded by bacterial mats, but those found in the sector are particularly thick and brightly colored, which I think we've actually done investigations of. You know what? Let's throw in the analyses. If we can. No relevant taxonomy entry. No relevant taxonomy entry. No relevant taxonomy entry. Brine Eater's taxonomy updated. Yeah, we don't have the relevant entries yet. We'll probably investigate into this at some point in the future, so we still need to find this one up there. But we also need to take a look down here, so we have quite a bit to look for. We're going to keep exploring the brine fields, see what we can find. Till then, I am Chester44, also known as Fly. This has been a Let's Play of In Other Waters, and I shall see you all next time.